This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Coming and joining us for the learning of Torah Hashem, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. As always, we begin B'Reshus Tamar Asra, Harav Landau, with continued appreciation to all of you for making this year possible. We learn with the tefillah that all those that are waiting their shidduch should find it quickly and easily. All those that are waiting children should be blessed with Zar Chai V'Kayom, a healthy mommy, healthy baby. And all of us should enjoy Gezunta Langa Zisa Shalom Bayis. During these days, as Svira comes to an end soon, during these days we say the tefillah of Avarachaman, which is a request for the Rabbeinu Shalom to avenge the martyrs of Klal Yisrael. We say it even when we bench Rosh Chodesh. Although normally on a Shabbos that we bench Rosh Chodesh, we delete the somber of a Rachamim prayer. However, since it's during this time that not only did the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva pass away, but there were the terrible massacres of the Crusaders and the Polish massacres, therefore we say Avarachamim. It is also customary for there to be many gatherings of Yom HaZikaron for those that were killed during the Shaya. Many communities were wiped out. As a matter of fact, there are people who do not know exactly when their parents' yahrzeit is, that keep a yahrzeit on Shavuos. Those from Salish know that their relatives were killed on Shavuos. Being that that's the case, I want to make a mention of something, and that is, why do we keep on bringing up again and again and again the memory of those that were killed during the Holocaust? I mean, after all, it was so brutal, and it leaves such a pallor of sadness and anger on those that hear it. Why do we keep on bringing it up year after year? So the Sefer Hasidim asks an interesting question. Rabbi Yehuda Chassid writes that there was somebody that was killed in a pogrom and died al Kiddush Hashem. The Rambam says whoever dies because he's a Jew is considered a Kaddish. So he was killed in a pogrom and his blood splattered over the wall of the house. When a Jew bought the house, he wanted to know if he could paint the walls. The walls are blood spattered. Wanted to know if he could paint the walls. So Rabbi Yehuda Chassid quotes two psukim. One pasuk is in Eiv. The pasuk says, Eretz al techasi dami. Land, do not cover my blood. That's a pasuk in Eiv. And then he elaborates with a pasuk in Yecheskel. The pasuk in Yecheskel says, La'alos chema, to raise divine wrath, Linkoim nokam, to avenge vengeance, Nosati doma al tzchiach sela, I place the blood on the surface of a rock, levilti kosais, in order that it should not be covered. Rabbi Yehuda Chassid says that as long as the blood is there front and center, it is kaviyachal, a reminder that the Rabbeinu Shalom should avenge the blood of the Kedoshim. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda Chassid paskin not to whitewash, not to paint over the blood of the killed man. And one of the reasons why we raise the remembrance from year to year is we're keeping the blood uncovered. And we're crying out for the vengeance of the murderers who still live. that Hashem should, like we say, when we mention those Harugei Hashaya, we say Hashem yinkum damai. Hashem avenge his blood, her blood. But I want to say one more thing about this subject. I want to correct a mistake that many people make when they refer to those that died during World War II. There is a phrase, the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust, or the poor souls who perished. That is a phrase that we should totally erase from our vocabulary. Because the souls of the Holocaust did not perish. Chas v'shalom. The souls of the Holocaust? The souls of the Holocaust are tzrura b'tzrura chayim. They're bound in the bounds of life. In 1995, Rav Naftolcher, then the Baba Rebbe, came. Well, actually, he wasn't the Baba Rebbe then. He became later the Baba Rebbe. Rav Naftolcher Zatzal came to the Swedish shul and spoke about the Holocaust. He himself was a survivor. And he says that the Kedoshim that were killed in the Holocaust, we will not be able to see Mechitzotan. After 120, we won't be able to see them. Their shine will be so great. So for a person to say the poor souls that perished in the Holocaust, that is only something that we've absorbed from Goyim who do not believe in life after death. If you don't believe in life after death, they're taka poor souls. And that's why it's important, people, when they think about the people in the Holocaust, they think about pictures of bloated bodies, bones, skulls strewn on the floor. That's not the way we should view the Meisei Shaya. We say in Avarachimim, there we word it properly. Hanehovim v'haneimim b'chayeyem. They were loved and sweet during their lifetime. Ubimosam loy nifradu. And their death, they're not separated. In their death now, what do you think? The poor soul of Hevel? Hevel was murdered by Cain. Poor soul, Hevel went straight to Gan Eden. Adam and Chava got kicked out of Gan Eden. But Hevel went straight back to Gan Eden. Not the poor soul. So we need to alter and amend the way we think about the Meisei Shoya. We shouldn't think about them as poor souls. They're elevated, holy souls, Kedoshei Elyon, that died al Kiddush Hashem Shemayim. The main theme of this evening, I would like to introduce with a Magen Avram in Shulchan Aruch, who talks about the reason why we lein Rus on Shvus. Now we know that there are verschiedene reasons, there are a variety of reasons why we lein Rus. We know that first of all it emphasizes the aspect of kindness in the Torah. Right? That's very important to emphasize. Megillah zeh, this Megillah, ein ba loy tumah v'loy tahara. It doesn't have anything about contamination, v'loy yisa v'loy heter. It doesn't have anything about that which is prohibited, that which is permitted. Mipnei ma Amra, why was it said? L'lamedcha schar godol shel goyim leichasod. To tell us the great reward of goyim leichasodim, of acts of kindness. Whether it was Rus's kindness to Nami, whether it was Boaz's kindness to Rus, and that's important to learn on Shavuos Yom Matan Torah, to let us know that the Torah is kula chesed. It says the Torah starts with an act of chesed, that Hashem clothed Adam and Chava, besides the creation of the world, which is the ultimate chesed, Olam Chesed Yibana, and it ends with an act of chesed that Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu to tell you that everything sandwiched in between is also kindness. That's a very big lesson. A Ben Torah who is not kind is not a Ben Torah. A Bas Yisrael who is not kind to her family is not a Bas. She's not a Bas Torah. To be a Ben Torah, you have to be kind. And that's an important lesson for Shavuos, and that's one of the reasons why we learn Rus on Shavuos. Torah's Chesed al L'shayin. The Torah is a Torah of Chesed. Now this can't be emphasized enough. If a person is miserly and stingy at home, that's not a Ben Torah. Not a Ben Torah. Another reason why we learn Rus is because it's the yahrzeit of David HaMelech, the birthday of David HaMelech. The yahrzeit of David HaMelech, Rav Moshe had a minute that he said whole Sefer Tehillim on Shavuos because it was the yahrzeit of David HaMelech. So since Rus comes to give us the pedigree of David HaMelech, so therefore we learn it on Shavuos. We know we learn Rus on Shavuos because Rus is Gematria 606, because when she converted, she accepted, besides the 7 Noahide laws that she already fulfilled, she accepted 606 more, just like on Shavuos we were given the Torah, the 606 more, besides the 7 Noahide laws. But the Magen Avram, in Siman Tov Tzadik Siv Ches, says another reason. He quotes a Yalkut, a Medrash Yalkut. It's important for us to understand this Medrash Yalkut because it conveys to us a very contemporary and weighty message. The Medrash says in the Yalkut, Ma inyan Rus eitzel atzeres. What shaykhis is Rus to Shavuos? Because we could have made a very big argument that we should learn Kehelis on Shavuos. I can make a very convincing argument to learn Kehelis on Shavuos. Hevel avolim amar kehelis, hevel avolim akol hovel, right? On the Yom Matan Torah, we want to learn that everything else in this world is hevel. Don't forsake the Torah, because everything else is narishkeit. Right? I could sit and darshan for an hour that we should learn Kehelis on Shavuos. So says the Yalkut, Ma inyan Rus eitzel atzeres. Ela lalamedcha sheloi nitna Torah ela al yedei yisurin v'ayim. It is to teach us that Torah is only acquired through suffering and hardship. This is a very important point. Torah, you don't get Torah without a lot of hard work. You don't get Torah without sacrifice. You don't get Torah leaning back. So therefore we learn Rus. Now for Rus to happen, there was a lot of pain. First of all, Rus herself was a royal princess. So her first step was she gave it all up to marry a Jew boy, to marry Machla. Now, Machla was from a very aristocratic family, Elimelech, a very wealthy family. But then, triple tragedy struck. Elimelech died, her shver died, her aristocratic father-in-law died, then her husband died, then her brother-in-law died. And then she was confronted by the fact that Naomi said, listen, stay here. You're going to come back. I'm a spurned woman. I'm a marked woman because we forsook everybody during the famine. So here she is, an example of riches to rags. She was a royal princess, then in the royal family of Elimelech. Now she comes back to the scorn of the Jews. And she has a double scorn because she was a Moabite who married into a scorned Jewish family. And now this royal princess finds herself collecting matnas aniyim in somebody else's field. It's a very thorny, rocky road to greatness. And then this princess finds herself clandestinely having a nocturnal visit with a very old man, Boaz. That's Russ's road. What about Boaz? As the Satmar Rebbe says in his Mauser, there are 85 psukim in Rus, and Boaz is B'Gematria 85. Let's look at the story of Boaz. The Gemara in Masechtas Bava Basra, Daf Tzadik Aleph Amud Aleph tells us that Boaz had 30 boys and 30 girls. What a family. 30 boys and 30 girls. Now you don't see such a family even in our fertile times. But tragically, all 60 of them died in his lifetime. He buried all 60 of them. And the day that Rus came, his Rebbetzin died. Boaz had a tremendous tragedy. In the last night of his life, because after sleeping with Rus and impregnating her, he died. In the last night of his life. That's why it says, Vateled Loben. Rav Kavitz says to her, but not to Boaz. He wasn't alive anymore when Rus's child was born. The last day of his life. So greatness comes with much hardness and suffering. Says the Magen Avram. You know why we learn this? Because that's the way of Torah. Torah doesn't come gliding into a person. You want Torah, you gotta work. You gotta accept sacrifice. That's the way of Torah. It's a very, very stark Magen Avram. The Rabbeinu Shalom made it that a person initially does not desire Torah. There are things that we desire. The Rabbeinu Shalom made that a human male enjoys to look at a pretty woman. He enjoys it. The Rabbeinu Shalom made that we enjoy to eat sweet things. The Rabbeinu Shalom made it that we enjoy to go and take a nap. But the Rabbeinu Shalom did not give us a natural desire to learn Torah. That's why the Torah has to tell us, Tamuru, taste it and you'll see. But we have to go and taste it. Tamuru, taste it and you'll see. Ki toiv Hashem, ain't toiv el Torah. Hashem, because kudsha barichu v'arai sachadu. Ashrei hagever yeches avoy. Fortunate is the person that finds shelter in it. But you got to taste it. There are many people that haven't tasted it. The truth of the matter is what does it say about the Torah? Torah Hashem Tamima Mishivas Nafesh, it rejuvenates a person. It's Mesamchei Leiv, it makes people merry of heart. What does it say about the Torah? It's Nechen Modi Mizav Mi Pos Rav Mesukim Midvash V'Neifet Sufim. It's a Gavalt. But it doesn't beckon to us. It says, Hoi Kol Tzama L'Chul Mayim. All those that thirst, all those that feel unfulfilled, L'Chul Mayim, go to Mayim. And ain't Mayim El Torah. Ain't Mayim El Torah. In Yiddish, there's an expression. Now listen carefully to this expression. In Yiddish, there's an expression, mit die Essen kommt der Appetit. That's a Yiddish expression. Mit der Essen kommt der Appetit. With the food comes the appetite. Now what does that mean? You ever find in the morning you're not hungry? But as soon as you put a little food, all of a sudden you want to have the pancakes and you want to have the eggs and you want to have everything. Until you didn't taste anything, you were fine. Because once you taste, the acids in the stomach start coming out, and then all of a sudden, I gotta eat. So mit der Essen kommt der Appetit. The truth of the matter is it's the same exact way with Torah, which is the lechem of the soul. Mit der Essen kommt der Appetit. If you start learning, then you're going to want to learn more. But that's what Shavuos is about. Shavuos is about making a commitment that I'm going to start having an attachment to learning. Mit der Essen kommt der Appetit. It's not easy. We have the famous Mishnah in the 6th parak of Pirkei Avos, the parak called Kinyonei Torah. Kachi darka shel Torah pas b'melech toichel u'mayim b'masura tishta v'aloretz tirishon v'chayei tzar tichya. What is that Mishnah coming to tell us? When Rameir Shapiro built Yeshivas Chachmei Lublin, and even now, so many years later, it's a magnificent building. Almost 80 years later, it's a magnificent building. They just gave it back to us. It was a veterinarian hospital. They just gave it back to us. Even now, so he put in, it was the first state-of-the-art yeshiva in the world. He put in a kitchen and a library and dormitories. And there were people that said to him, what? Such a palace? Says in the Mishnah, Kachi Darka Shel Torah. So then the Lubliner Rav said his famous pshat, you have to know how to read things. He says you're supposed to read it, Kachi Darka Shel Torah? Is that the way of Torah? But the truth of the matter is, what the Mishnah is teaching us is that if you want to, as the Chassid Yavit says, this is the way you got to start. You gotta start by willing to sacrifice. It's that way with anything. Somebody wants to become a professional skater. They gotta get up 4 a.m. and hit the gym and practice 10 hours a day. Anything you want to go, if you want to get good at something, you gotta sacrifice. Kachi Darka Shel Torah. If you want to have Torah, you gotta be Ma'aseh Nefesh. It's not coming on a silver platter. But the flip side is that once we taste it, we'll find out that it's nechamodim mizav and mipazrav, or misukim midvash v'noifes sufim, that it's mesamchei lei, that it's meshivas nefesh. Look, the Rabbeinu Shalom, who made all the pleasures of the world for us to enjoy, all the pleasures, a beautiful breeze, a starlit sky, the succulent tastes of a variety of fruits and vegetables, a good sumptuous meal of meat and potatoes, all the good things in life, a cool breeze. The Rabbeinu Shalom tells us Because I'm telling you, ain't simcha kesimchas haTorah. There's no happiness like the happiness of Torah. But it's not automatic. We need to cultivate it. The Satmar Rebbe enacted that in all Chadorim of Satmar, Erev Shavuos, there's half a day Cheder. It's not like a regular Erev Yom Tov. Every Cheder in Satmar, whether it's Monroe, whether it's in Williamsburg, has half a day yeshiva on Erev Yom Tov Shavuos. Why? Because he said the achana for Shavuos is Limud HaTorah. You have to know that. It's not like a regular Yom Tov. Achana Pesach, you got to clean, you got to sleep for the Seder, you got to get ready to matzah. Achana for Shavuos, you got to prepare the Arba Minim, you got to put up the sukkah, you got to decorate the sukkah. What's the achana for Shavuos? The achana for Shavuos is Limud HaTorah. So you're not giving off. You're not giving off. Achana Shavuos is Limud HaTorah. And therefore we have to know it all of us. We have to know that in order to prepare for Shavuos, we got to connect with Torah. And it's not easy in the beginning. That's why we learn Rus. It doesn't come without Yisurin and Aini. There will be times you'll go to a shir and you'll be watching your watch, when is it over? And you'll be fighting that your eyes shouldn't close on you. And you'll be saying, I can't do this. And that's also one of the great messages of Rabbi Akiva. The message of Rabbi Akiva is so myridic. Everybody says, look, it's never too late. Rabbi Akiva first started at 40. So that's what they say. Now that works if you're 35. But if you're 60, you say, yeah, but at least he was 40. But that's only the beginning of Rabbi Akiva's story. Look what happened with Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva had a beautiful wife, Rachel. He had a wonderful family, and he left them for 24 years. And he worked, and he developed 24,000 Talmidim. He gave up everything. He gave up family life. He stayed away from a beautiful wife, Rachel, for 24 years, and she didn't live long afterwards, after he came back. She passed away young. And what happened? Bikol Amalai, all, and I emphasize all, 24,000 Talmidim died horribly. He had to watch 24,000 Talmidim. Remember, V'shinantam levanecha elu Talmidim. It's like 24,000 children dying, choking to death. And you could understand that Rabbi Akiva was a premier Rebbe. So if somebody asked you, who lost the most children in the history of mankind? The answer is Rabbi Akiva. He lost 24,000 kindalach. And 24,000 kindalach in the worst, the Gemara Bracha says that's the worst way to die. So how could somebody survive 24,000 Talmidim dying? How could he survive? And what did Rabbi Akiva do? Did he say, that's it? Obviously, this is not my line of work. Obviously, I'm no good at it. That's it. No way. He went to the Dorim, he went to the south, and he taught 5 Talmidim, Rab Meir, Rab Yehuda, Rab Yaisi, Rab Shimon bar Yochai, and Rab Elazar ben Shimon. And that's why we have Torah today. Because Rabbi Akiva didn't crumble. And because Rabbi Akiva understood that Torah is nickness b'yisurin u'ba'ini. And shtel zechfar, in the same way, how it must have been excruciating for a royal princess Rus who used to be served by servants and butlers and maitre d's, for her to bend down and pick up the leket, the shikha, and the peah, the forgotten sheaves, in a Jewish field. Imagine how hard it was for Rabbi Akiva to sit and learn in a room with 5 Talmidim when he used to darshan to 24,000 people. You ever think about that? Here's a man who used to sit and give a lecture in Madison Square Garden every day. And now he's teaching in a room in the South to 5 people. Many people wouldn't be able to do that. Many people wouldn't be able to do that. That's it. I can't do it. Not Rabbi Akiva. Again, it's the message. It's the message that Torah is acquired through Yisurin v'Aini. It's foolish to say, I can't do it. I can't start now. I'm too old. Or it's not going. Or it's not interesting. Or it doesn't stick. That's all the eights of the Yetzer Hara. Now I have to tell you something. There is no mitzvah that the Yetzer Hara tries to stop us from doing as much as Torah. That's what I was waiting for. I didn't understand why it wasn't finished yet. No mitzvah. Why? Because it says, Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tavla. Hashem created the Yetzer Hara, and the Yetzer Hara's nemesis is Torah. Oh, it's the nemesis. It's the foil. It's the antidote. So then the Yetzer Hara goes into overdrive that we shouldn't learn Torah. Listen, Torah is not your thing. You never had zitzvah. It's not practical. You're not going to remember it anyway. Come on, you start, you don't finish, you really don't understand it. Come on, you could be doing other things. You promised your wife you'd do this. You wanted to spend time with your mother. You never have time for the children. You need to relax. It's called Yetzer Hara 101. Yeah, the Yetzer Hara has a million ways, literally, to stop us from learning Torah. Yetzer Hara will even get us to do mitzvahs, not to learn Torah. Because Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tavlin. And therefore, when it comes to Shavuos, a person really, and this is the achana for Shavuos, a person really has to make a cheshbon hanefesh. I'm getting older. When I come to the next world, tchilas dinoi shel odom einoi ela b'divrei Torah. A person is first judged with Torah. Even before, how did you treat your wife? Even before, how were you with your children? Even before, did you eat kosher? Did you keep Shabbos? Tchilas dinoi shel odom einoi ela b'divrei Torah. And we're all going to be grilled. So, did you finish Chumash and Rashi? What about Tanakh? What about Shisha Sidrei Mishnah? What about Shas? We're going to be grilled. And we're going to start hemming and hawing. Maybe we have a good excuse. But when we see what we're going to miss out on, it's going to be a disappointment forever. You know, it's interesting in Rus, we learn about a man who we call anonymous. There is a person in Rus called anonymous. He's called Ploni Almoni. When Boaz was going to fulfill the mitzvah of Geula, a type of Yibum, on Rus, he said, there's somebody closer to me. We got to give him the chance. So it says, the Vayomer Surah Shva Po Ploni Almoni. He said, come, turn aside, sit here, Ploni Almoni. Now we know his real name. He had a very nice name. His name was Toiv. That's a great name. His name was Toiv. So why don't we call him Toiv? So Rav Alkavitz in his Pirish, Megillus Rus, says we don't call him by his name because we don't want to embarrass him. We don't want to embarrass him. Here's a man that gave up the chance to have Malchus Beis David. We don't want to embarrass him, so we don't call him by his name. And this is nothing new. In the Torah, we don't reveal the identity of the Eitz Hadas. Why? Because we don't want people saying that's the tree that brought death to mankind. So maybe it was a vine, maybe it was wheat, maybe it was esrog, maybe it was fig. But the Torah doesn't say it. The Torah doesn't want to embarrass. So they all want to embarrass him. But the Nachlas Yosef says we don't name him because his name doesn't deserve to be mentioned l'doros. Anybody that's in the scriptures is mentioned by millions of people throughout the ages. He doesn't deserve to be mentioned. So the Nachlas Yosef asks, why not? He was a man who had yiras chet. He was afraid. He was afraid that maybe a female Moabite is also forbidden. He was afraid. So the Nachlas Yosef says, we didn't say you did something wrong. But in order to be mentioned, it's not what you did, that you didn't do anything wrong. In order to deserve mention by millions of people throughout the generation, you have to do something very right. He didn't do something very right. He missed his chance. And that's why the word for sin is chet. Chet is a missed opportunity. Chet means miss. The slingshots of David HaMelech were very professional. They never miss. Chet means to miss. The worst thing about a chet is to miss the opportunity. That's the worst thing. We get to the next world, and I was busy with this, I was busy with that, I was busy with this, I was busy with that. Okay, you're in this bungalow forever and ever. But Rabbi Nisham, the silver gates, the golden gates, the diamond gates, the platinum gates, the titanium gates, I see music and scent, and I see, I want to be with Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Sorry. You could have had it if you would have made a Seder in Mishnayos, if you would have learned some Musa, if you would have opened up a Mishnah Brura, if you would have went to a shir. But I'm sorry. You got a good excuse. But I'm sorry. That's what Shavuos is there. Shavuos demands from us. And yes, it's not easy. I come home, I'm falling apart. You expect me to learn that? That's why we learn Rus. The Torah is niknes, b'yisur and v'ayni. Whether it was Rus, whether it was Bayas, whether it was Rabbi Akiva. Imagine what Rabbi Akiva did after losing 24,000 Talmidim horribly. He had the koyach to start over again and ensure that there should be Torah in Klal Yisrael. A man who taught 24,000 was able to teach 5. Amazing thing. So we find by Yaakov, Eliphaz comes, strips him of everything. All he was left was with his walking stick. He barely got away from Eliphaz alive. He's without wife. He's without children. He's not with his parents. He has a brother in his family that's trying to murder him. He ends up in Shem Ve'ever, and with all of that on his mind, he learns for 14 years without sleeping, and that's the Torah he gives to Yosef that made Yosef succeed in Mitzrayim beyond his wildest dreams. That's the Torah of hardship. Kachi darka shel Torah. And remember, the Torah doesn't beckon us. It's not like a pretty woman that lures a person. It's not like a pistachio nut. It's not like a fragrant cholent. The Torah, not now, I don't have the head for it. It's not interesting, it's not timely, it's not for me, I'm too old. There's a million excuses. So therefore we're told, Tamuru, taste it, you'll see. You'll see. Look at all our great men. Look at all our great men. They all found Torah. Those are our great men. The Vilnigain, the Sefer, Rab Moshe, all are great men. The Klosenberger Rebbe, Klosenberger Rebbe made a statement. I just heard it from Rav Palak, from Shemri Amuna. He made a statement, Ich bin mehr than Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan? Heilig Amoira? Rabbi Yochanan who lived 400 years? How could the Klosenberger Rebbe say, Klosenberger Rebbe is a big man, but say Ich bin mehr from Rabbi Yochanan? So he right away explained it. He said, Rabbi Yochanan used to say, Den Garmodi Asira Bir, this is the bone of my 10th son. Rabbi Yochanan had 10 children that died in his lifetime. Den Garmodi Asira Bir. His last son fell into a vat of boiling liquid and was scalded alive. That's why he had his bone. So because my Rebbe says, I lost 11 children. Ich bin mehr from Rabbi Yochanan. I lost 11 children in our life by the hands of the Nazim, Arurim, Yamach Shemam, Zichram, the Deiroyin Oilam, Hashem Yinkum Dama. Klosenberger Rebbe built Mifal Hashas, built Kiryat Sanz, built Torah, was an ambassador of Torah, because Torah is niknas bi Yisurin ba'ayin. And therefore, we learn this Magen Avram is so vital for us to understand. Torah, it doesn't come on it's not laid out on a silver tray. And the person said, if I decide to learn Torah, Baruch Shalom is going to roll out the red carpet. Of course, Habolah Torah Messiah Oisai. B'derech Shanam Reitzel Aleches Meilichan Oisai. But you got to do it first. Tavu, you got to taste it. Hoi kol tzamei l'chul amayim, you got to go to the water. You got to apply yourself. Got to be a chacham. Got to figure out to start with something that you like. Some people are practical minded, so they should start learning halachas. There are many svarim that talk about practical halachas. There's some people that are philosophical. They should learn works like the Chovos HaLevavos, like the Derech Hashem. There are some people that like a good pilpul. You know where the word pilpul comes from? Pilpul is pepper. Palpala. Because it's sharp. They like a good pilpul. They should open up a shakazayeh. They should open up a steak heaven. They like a good pilpul. But the main thing is, Tamuru! Taste it! That's what Shavuos is about. You got to make the effort. Then the Rabbeinu Shalom rolls out the red carpet. Because Torah is infectious. Yizbu, if you're full, v'yasangu, you still delight in it. You can't have enough of Torah. You can't have enough of Torah. Now, Rav Irving Bunim says a Meridik Kazak. Rav Irving Bunim says that how much Torah should one learn? He says, Barasi Yetzara, Barasi Torah Tamuma. So a person needs to learn as much Torah as he has a Yetzara. The Yetzara comes often, he better learn Torah often. The Chal Lebracha says, what a stark kavod. Now I want to share with you another caveat about the Misa of the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva. And that is, there's a Ran in Psochim Daf Chav Ches. He says something very interesting. He says they all died ba'oiseh perek bein Pesach l'Shvuos. He says, why did they die between Pesach and Shvuos? So there's a Marsha that says that that's a time where people are very healthy. It's good weather. So it shows that it was a divine punishment. But the Ran says, because this was the season that Klal Yisrael showed Kavod HaTorah. This was a season that Klal Yisrael showed their passion by counting from the time they came out of Mitzrayim till Har Sinai, till Bar Sinai, they counted with a passion. They showed great honor to the Torah. And to sin and not give kavod Torah during this time, that's a very fatal, lethal flaw, and therefore they died. You know, when Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi tells us in the Masechtas Avos, "B'chol yoyim v'yoyim b'askol yoytzes u'makrezes v'oimeres, oy lahem lebriya Yismael boina shel Torah." So the Pashup Pshat is that every day a baskol comes out and says, "Whoa, for all those shasim in the Svarim Shank that are collecting dust." There are people that come to the Svarim Shank and the chas and the shas by Bedikinite, and they say, I don't have to open it up. It still has the dust from last year. Every day a basko comes out and says, "Woe to the Brias Me'albaina Shel Torah." My children were saying to me, "Tati, you know, the chas and the shas looks messy." I say, that's the way a chas and a shas is supposed to look. It's supposed to look messy. It's supposed to look messy. A clean chas and a shas is a bad sign. Okay, unless you're using art skills, so that's also okay. But there's another meaning in Oylahem Labrias Me'al Baina Shel Torah. And that is, woe to the Brias for the insult to the Torah. People don't give cover to the Torah, to Talmidei Chachamim. Oy lohem lebrias, woe to them. Look what happened. The Maharsha says, why did the Talmid Rabbi Kiva die? Because Torah is ki hi chayecha v'orech yamecha. Orech yomim b'yamila ki heim chayenu. And since they didn't have cover at Torah, they didn't have the orech yomim. People have to be very careful when it comes to Kavod Torah. There were a radiothon this week, this Motzei Shabbos, when they even hinted at deciding to discuss about the ban on the concerts. I changed, if anybody was listening, I changed the topic very, very forcefully. Because you're playing with fire. Kavod Torah, you're playing with fire. Especially during the Yemei Sfira. Somebody says flippantly, you know, the rabbis never say anything like that. Bite your tongue, hard. Be careful. Kavod Torah, on the flip side, especially in today's day and age, when we have so many children that are Aruf and Derek, they're off the way. People that show honor to Rabbanim will have children Talmidei Chachamim. The reward is very great, very needed in our day and age. We should add that the Maharsha says in Masechtas Yevamis that they died from Askara, because the Gemara says, Siman la'askara Lashon Hara. The sin of Lashon Hara brings askara, diphtheria. Now today, I have the opportunity to wish you a good Chodesh. It's Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Thursday, Bei Sivan has a title. It's one of those days on the calendar that are titled days. Thursday is called Yoyim HaMeyuchas. Thursday has Yichus. Yichus, you know, you want to know about the Shidduch. What's the Yichus? Thursday is known as Yoyim HaMeyuchas, the aristocratic day. That's a puzzle. What's Thursday? Wednesday is Rosh Chodesh. Friday is the first of the Shlosh Yemei Akbala. But what's Thursday? Yoyim HaMeyuchas. Yoyim, we don't say Tachma. It's Yoyim HaMeyuchas. What's the Yichus? So, the Likutei Mariach that master of minhagim. The Likutei Mariach gives a very interesting reason. The Likutei Mariach proves that it was on Beis Sivan that Moshe Rabbeinu charged us with the charge that Atem Tiyeh Li Mamleches Kahanim V'Goy Kodesh. He says on the first day, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't tell us because of Chulsha the Derech. So it was on Beis Sivan that the Rabbeinu Shalom, that Moshe Rabbeinu said, Atem Tiyeh Li Mamleches Kahanim V'Goy Kodesh. Oh, so this is the day that we all know that we're all Bala Yuchsin. We're a Mamleches Kahanim. We're a priestly nation. Rav Miller would say often that many of the lessons that are taught to the Torah, to Kahanim, it applies to all of us. That we should have lives of Kedusha v'Tara, it applies to all. We're a Mamleches Kahanim. We're a Goy Kodesh. Want to know why we don't do things? Because we are Bala Yichus. So that's why it's Yom HaMiyuchas. Very nice. One of my favorite pshatim, why Beis Sivan is called Yom HaMiyuchas, I love it. I love it because in the whole slew of days now, it's the only ordinary day. Wednesday is Rosh Chodesh. Friday is the first of Yom HaGbala. Shabbos the second. Sunday is the third. Monday and Tuesday is Shavuos. Then you have the days afterwards until Yud Beis that you don't say Tachnun because you could bring the carbon Chagiga. The only day that's normal without anything special is Beis Sivan, Thursday. In Yiddishkeit, to be normal is a yichus. To be normal is a yichus. That's a great shot. To be normal is a yichus. There are a lot of people that are in trouble because they're just not normal. People ask me, over here you have another daughter. I have another daughter that just started Shidduchin. Another daughter, she just turned 19. She just entered the Shidduch market. So people say, so what do you want for your Devaira? So I say, I want a kind-hearted boy. And I say, he should be normal. They look at me a little bit strange. But normal is a very big yichus. I always say over that in the hand, the tallest finger is the middle finger. The smallest are the two extremes. Because the balanced way, the middle path, the path of normalcy, that's the tallest path. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Rachas Chusa Yagan Aleinu, says a very profound pshat on this. Very profound. Rabbi Yaakov says that nobody has to be strained to fulfill the Torah. You see a person, he's walking in the street. So you ask him, they used to have before they had other medical terms, they used to call it Saint Vitus's dance. A person that's shaking all over the place. He's shaking. So you stop him and you say, why are you shaking like that? I'm afraid I'm going to look at something that's awesome. So I'm shaking. So you'll say, so maybe people are supposed to walk in the street like crackers. Right? You find another person. He's walking into poles. He's walking in the street. He's bumping into every telephone pole. So what's the matter? I'm afraid to open my eyes. So he's walking with his eyes closed. You say, maybe that's the way people have to be. They have to bump into poles. They have to shake. So Rabbi Yaakov said, it says in the Zohar, Istakel ba'araisa u'bara'alma. Hashem looked in the Torah and created the world. Since the world was created according to the dictates of the Torah, therefore a person should be able to easily fulfill the Torah. Because the world was made to complement the Torah. Everything fits. A person shouldn't have to strain. If Hashem created the world and then gave us the Torah, maybe we have to stoop the Torah into the world. But Rabbi Yaakov said it was done the other way. Hashem looked in the Torah and created the world, so everything fits. A person doesn't have to be strained. Always remember this. They used to say about my Rebbe, Rabban Shel Yisrael or a Moshe, that he was a gain of normalcy. The gain of normalcy. Normalcy needs gainus. The gainus to be normal. That is another reason why Beis Sivan is called Yom HaMiyuchas. Another reason. Because the day that Beis Sivan falls out is always the same day of the week that Yom Kippur falls out. Hayichas. Hayichas. And it makes a lot of sense right before Shloshis Me'agbalah. Because the avoid of Shloshis Me'agbalah, besides Limud HaTorah we discussed, is that everybody should get along. Because Kabbalah HaTorah needs actos. Vayichan Sham Yisrael. Rashi says, Ki ish echad b'leiv echad. That was Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur when we all asked Mechila from one another. So mamash, right before Shloshis Me'agbalah, we think about Yom Kippur when we asked everybody for Mechila. Remember that we asked everybody for Mechila? Are we keeping up for that? I want to just speak, although there's not much time, but I want to speak for moments about this week's Parsha, the Sugya of Saita. Global Daf Yomi is learning Saita. The Ramban says that this is the only place in the Torah where the Torah gives a mitzvah and employs supernatural acts to perform a mitzvah. It's an amazing thing. Here a woman was warned by her husband not to be alone, a man, and she goes and is alone with him in room 208 in the embassy suites. So we give her water mixed with some earth and a scroll. We erase Hashem's name and a formula. If she was guilty, she explodes. If she was not guilty, she didn't commit adultery, so then Adarabah, it acts as a potion. If she was infertile, she becomes fertile and is blessed with children. Niksam and Israel are same potion. It's mamish supernatural. Mamish, it's firecrackers. It's unbelievable. First happens that just over here, the only place in the Torah, it emphasizes to us how much the Rabbeinu Shalom wants to save a Yiddish marriage. People make an error. They think that the Parasha of Saita is to punish the woman who was adulterous. It's absolutely not the case. As we learned in Masechta Saita, we try to convince her not to drink the water. We are ma'ayim her and we tell her, you don't want to cause Hashem's name to be erased. We just tell her, don't drink the water, you'll leave your husband, you'll forfeit your ksuva, but you won't die. We're not trying to punish. It's not that her thighs should collapse and her stomach should swell and her eyes should bulge and her face should turn green and she should die horribly. That's not the purpose. It's not a divine execution. Because Adarabah, we try to convince her not to drink the water. The purpose of Saita is to save a marriage. Here's a husband, he's fed up with her. She was flirtatious. Now she went against his bid and she was in alone. He had it with her. Says the Rabbeinu Shalom, if you're innocent, I'm going to prove to your husband that you are innocent. You don't want to drink it. You don't want to be exposed. Because they take her, they uncover her ear, they tear the neckline of her dress in front of everybody. She says, what do I need it for? He doesn't trust me? I find somebody better. Rabbi Shalom says, no, I want to save your marriage. Even though you were naughty and you caused your husband aggravation and you were over the Yisr of Yichud, but I'm willing to give you a bonus. If you're innocent, drink the water. My name could be erased. Even though it's a terrible thing, but my name will shine in the Ish and Isha and the Yud and Hey that's back together when your marriage is saved. And it's worth for my name to be erased once so that it should shine in the Ish and the Isha, the Yud of Ish and the Hey of Isha for many years in your healthy marriage. That's how the Rabbi Shalom goes to save a marriage. We should know that the only here does Rabbi Shalom say, I'm willing to do things keneged hateva, supernatural things to save a marriage. That's how important it is. The centrality of Judaism is marriage. Kaisoymar lebeis Yaakov. The Torah was addressed to Beis Yaakov, the family of Yaakov, the centrality of the Jewish home. Kaisoymar lebeis Yaakov. And I'll tell you something. Rabbi Yehuda Chassid writes that if a husband hates his wife, he shouldn't pray for another wife. He should pray to Hashem that Hashem should give his wife a change of heart, that she should treat him properly, and that he should have a change of heart and love his wife. He says that's the way a husband should be mispah. Not that the Rebbeinu Shalom should get rid of her. That's not. Because we know Arbam Yoim Kodim Yitziris of Lad Baskal Yoitzis and Makarezes Bas Pliny LePliny. Our DNA is matched to the DNA of our wives. Our DNA is matched to the DNA of our husbands. And therefore we should pray not for the dissolution of the marriage, Rahman al-Islam, that even the Mizbeach is married to love the most. Do you know what the statistics are in Staten Island now by the Goyim? They're horrifying. The statistic now is 79% of marriages in Staten Island end up in eventual divorce. That's almost 8 out of 10. 79%. It's almost as bad as a lottery ticket. It's amazing. It's amazing. And we have to be careful because we're always affected by the Goyim. So therefore we have to know when we learn this parsha and we see the Rabbeinu Shalom said, I'm ready for my heilige name to be erased to save this marriage. And I'm ready even though she doesn't deserve it. She acted flirtatiously, not like a Bas Yisrael. And then she closeted herself in a hotel room with another man, a married woman. What a shanda. I'm ready to give her a reward. V'niksav in Israel if she didn't sin, if she's willing to save her marriage. Because that's how important it is to save an original Yiddish marriage. That's how important it is. At this point, I'd like to wish all my listeners a wonderful Shavuos. We should be Mekabel the Torah ba'ava with Gesund and with Achdus. There will not be a shir next week. There will be a shir the following Tuesday. We want to thank you all for coming. Chananya ben Akasha, Amarat HaKadosh Baruch Hu, L'zaka Yisrael Yisrael, L'fikach Hirbal Em Torah Mitzvah, Shinem Adinoi Chafetz, L'man Tzidka Yagdol Torah V'Yadir.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.